Today's bonus episode of the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage is brought to you by, brought to you by the Starbs. Real quick, this is their new iced double berry matcha. Let's try it out real quick. Pretty good. I would get an Alani New, but they ain't got Alani New at the airport. So, yeah, we're live from the McCarran Airport. Yes, I still say McCarran Airport because that's what it is to me. And I want to welcome you all to bonus episode 3 of the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage. I'm Joshua Luna, and I normally host this podcast with my best friends Holoka Toves and Kainala Kamai. And today, well, actually, before I do that, if you're new to this podcast or new to this channel, the ML Backstage podcast, or the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage, is a podcast that talks about the behind the scenes, stories, lore, and all that behind my music project for the past 9 years. The Cosmic Prince, the space alien singer from the 6th dimension, Mars Luna. But I'm not Mars Luna in that form anymore. So I am the artist formerly known as Mars Luna, and therefore this is the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage. Shout out to Prince. This is the season of life we're in right now. It's weird, but we're gonna get through it, all right? But we're going over the first artist formerly known as Mars Luna release, Side A. All right, so these are basically 2 song poems called See It Through and Let Me Out that talk about how music has been like for Mars Luna the past 2 years, and basically how it's been for me the past 2 years. And it kind of provides a meta look of what went down. And these songs are like a minute long, but they kind of tell a whole story of what happened from the end of New Orbit to throughout the Final Voyage era. So hope you enjoy the breakdown of these 2 songs. Hope you enjoy this episode. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe on YouTube and follow along on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, all that. And yeah, let's get this thing cracking. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage, bonus episode 3. My name is Joshua Luna, and I'm normally joined by my co-hosts and my best friends Holoka Toves and Kainala Kamai. But time differences have been a recurring theme, as we're separated by a total of 6 hours. So it's hard to kind of, get our schedules aligned. Yeah, if you don't know what this podcast is about, the ML Backstage podcast, or the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage, is a podcast that kind of documents my musical project, the Cosmic Prince, space alien singer from the 6th dimension, Mars Luna. But now I'm not Mars Luna in that form anymore. So this podcast is called the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage. Go over all the projects, all of the EPs, albums, singles, features, all that stuff, as well as people who have been a part of Mars Luna's journey, or people who I'm friends with who have been a part of the Mars Luna journey, like the last episode, Angelo Mucci from Second Set, which you can check out on the YouTube channel, Spotify channel, podcast, Apple Podcast channel, and all that kind of stuff. Today we're going to talk about the podcast. Nope. Let me reframe that. The very first artist formerly known as Mars Luna release, called Side A, or the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side A. Now, I have some disclaimers about this. Okay, so the artist formerly known as Mars Luna is a transitionary
um, period. It's filled with transitional music for a transitional period. So I'm building towards something in 2027, but I'm clearing out my hard drive to make space for those new things that are coming next year. And these artists formerly known as Mars Luna songs are songs that talk about, how the Mars Luna era went from a meta standpoint, or, kind of stylistically. I just blanked out for a second. A stylistic preview of what's to come for the next era. And even though this release, the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side A, is technically a Mars Luna release on paper, it's mainly for, SEOs and algorithms for Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. And basically, you know what I'm saying? This era was kind of inspired by Prince in that artist formerly known as Prince era, where he was just the symbol. So yeah, let's dig into the releases themselves. Um, we're gonna start off with uh, the first single off the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side A, which is "See It Through." And if I were to look at the lyrics real quick, "See It Through" is essentially um, what the goal was for Mars Luna within the last 2 years. Um, I had a goal of when I wanted that era to finish, and I ended up seeing it through to completion. You know what I'm saying? With Final Voyage and everything. And let me find the words real quick. And so this song is about a minute long, or this song poem is about a minute long. This is the very first like spoken word type of release that I've done. And, it kind of give a, a stylistic preview, you know what I'm saying? It says, "I dropped my final album last year. The homie said with every ending, there's a new beginning. What's the cost of success if I actually make it? Or it would break my heart to see the family I would leave behind. I wouldn't sell my soul for some paper, or compromise my integrity for some clandestine circles, or compromise my convictions for a life in the limelight. No vanity award will compromise my soul. I have more songs left in me, I got the need to share it. If my songs have made an impact on you, I really made it. This song's a blank canvas for me to yeet my thoughts. This pen is a safe space, you're in my sanctuary. I never had a clear destination. I let Jesus take the wheel, and I will see where the stars align. Because when the Odyssey is the destination, the only thing left for me to do is to see it through. Glad I got to see it through." So if I were to break it down line by line here, I dropped my final album last year. So I wrote this song in 2025. So I dropped my final album in um, 2025. So I wrote this from a futuristic standpoint. So I released this in 2026. I dropped Final Voyage in 2025. And the homie said, with every ending, there's a new beginning. And that's something that Holo said like a long time ago, about endings and beginnings. I think he wrote that in one of his blog posts and something like that, but it resonated with me forever, because I just made 5 years with leading worship at my church in Shadow Hills, and today is it's been almost a month ago since my last Sunday, because I'm headed over to Nashville and everything. And one of the things I said during my thank you speech was that every ending leads to a new beginning on both sides. And in order for things to progress and to move forward, you know, every beginning comes with an ending that preceded it. So that's kind of what happened there. you know, and what's the cost of success if I actually make it? It would break my heart to see the family I would leave behind. So while success itself is fine, what is the cost of, the success that comes with, whatever it is that you're doing? I wouldn't sell my soul for some paper or compromise my integrity for some clandestine circles or compromise my convictions for a life in the limelight. No vanity award will compromise my soul. So I was basically talking about the Grammys and the Oscars here. The Oscars was a couple days ago. I didn't watch it. I had no clue what the movies were, but I know that Michael B. Jordan won. Was it like Best Actor or something like that for Sinners, which was a great movie, by the way. And you know, uh, yeah, I wrote that. I wrote that based off of the Grammys and the Oscars. Um, and I have more songs left in me. I got the need to share it. If my songs made an impact on you, I really made it. It's basically what my goals were. My goals were just to share songs that I have and to share the progress along the way, especially post-COVID. Um, I remember having tangible goals pre-COVID and having conversations with friend of the pod, Morgan Wright, about, you know, uh, I think we thought that, we were like the missing piece for Vegas's music scene at the time. I remember we were eating Sonic in Morgan's car, and I can look back and be like, "Well, that didn't happen." But it's all good, man. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. You feel me? Um, and I had to kind of like strip it down to its purest essence, right? If my songs have made an impact on you, I really made it. And this song is a blank canvas for me to yeet my thoughts. This pen is a safe space. You're in my sanctuary. And basically, this song has been about communicating, man. I did this song in spoken word form because it was just the right way for me to communicate uh, this song. You know what I'm saying? And I never had a clear destination. I let Jesus take the wheel, and I would see where the stars align. Because when the Odyssey is the destination, the only thing left for me to do is to see it through. So it kind of plays on the phrase, the journey is the destination, right? And that's kind of what Mars Luna ended up being. Embrace your Odyssey, right? And embrace the strange. So Final Voyage was the definitive finish line, but there were just some small epilogue pieces like Captain's Log and Coda that kind of went along with that. But yeah, I saw it through. I saw the Mars Luna Odyssey all the way through, and now we're transitioning into the next one cleanly. So that's See It Through. And the second double single is Let Me Out. And while I load all that out, basically it's actually one of my favorite songs that I've written in quite some time. And it's a pretty simple song. It's just piano and a spoken word over it. But I basically think about the alternative timeline if I kept on going as Mars Luna. So let me break it down here. So it says, I think of the alternative timeline if I kept on going. Would I eventually make it? Guess I'll never know. But is it worth knowing whether I make it or not? And that kind of ties into what I said earlier about See It Through, about compromising my integrity and convictions, right? And I said I must have trusted in the stars too much. The supernova explosion messed up all my momentum. So the supernova, I've mentioned this on the pod multiple times, was Mars Luna's band that I had with friends of the pod, Angela Mungi, Morgan Wright, and Ryan Castillo. Shout out to all three of them dudes. You can check out all their episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. But basically, we only had a chance to really play one show together as the full group. One show together where I played all of Lost in Space in front of people with another friend of the pod, Kyle Lowry. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't get a chance to really build on it, even though I had some shows booked in 2020 because the Rona hit. You know what I'm saying? And I messed up all my momentum. When the world stood still, I was forced to rebuild. I don't blame nobody but myself. I didn't have any focus, didn't plan on a tour, try to figure it out as the years passed by. And everything that happens that's in your control, you take responsibility for it, right? And in this case, like, I had opportunities to adapt. I had opportunities to kind of, figure out like what Mars Luna really wanted to be. And I committed to that all the way through, even though the world changed drastically around it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's on, like, that's me. You know what I'm saying? That's on me. I can't blame anybody but myself here. And I said afterwards, an Embrace Your Odyssey tour would have been lit. An Embrace the Strange tour would have been fire, though. Those were names of tours that I had in my mind for Mars Luna if Mars Luna ever made it that far. You know what I'm saying? But they were simply visions that were filtered through and passing through. I might have played it way too safe. It goes to the theme of calculated risks, right? On what risks are smart and what risks are beneficial for the future. So, like, even me moving to Nashville, even though I've only been there twice, that is a calculated risk. That was something that I considered the cost and considered the, you know what I'm saying? Like, consider the weight that comes with that move. But that is a risk that I was willing to take in order to prepare for the future. You know what I'm saying? And then I said, reality practically got in my way. Being comfortable is the enemy of growth. I know that being good is the enemy of best. Get me out of my head, out of my own heart, so can you let me out? And one of the reasons why I stayed in Vegas for 12 years was because I was comfortable, right? I had a very comfortable rhythm. I was, everything was pretty simple. It was on autopilot, really. And you always want to find ways to keep on growing, right? And you always want to find ways to better yourself and to become the best version of yourself, right? And being comfortable is an obstacle to becoming those things, because being comfortable can lead to complacency. And that's kind of what that statement came from. And being good is the enemy of best. So that is a quote that I heard from Belief and Belief in Fatherhood. Shout out to him, man. That happened. I met him during his Dream Junkie days back in 2015 with John Gibbs and Ruslan, and because they came to a show in Vegas and everything. And I remember Belief saying in an interview that the Dream Junkie stopped because being good is the enemy of best, and meaning that just because something's good for you, it doesn't mean that the good thing is the best thing, right? And that's kind of what happened in my life. I had a good thing going, and I was comfortable and everything, but I know that if I wanted to get to the level that I believe that I'm capable of reaching, then I had to stop relying on good. I had to stop relying on comfort, because being comfortable is the enemy of growth, and being good is the enemy of best. And good in this context is mediocrity, right? So Um, or even being underrated is considered to be good because all it means is that you're not the best. So, uh, so yeah, that is the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side A, and these are two different mediums that I've never really expressed in song before. Um, but hopefully you like it. It serves as a preview for what's to come in 2027, and see it through and let me out or out now on your favorite streaming platform under the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side A. And also on Spotify, it says the artist formerly known, or Spotify and Apple, it says the artist formerly known as Side A, right? But the Mars Luna name is attached underneath it to imply that the name is part of that title. Um, but just to be clear, these songs are technically Mars Luna songs, you know, technically, but these are actually not spiritually Mars Luna releases. These are Joshua Luna releases. And I'm basically experimenting this entire year as I, lean further into what the sound is going to be in 2027. Uh, anyway, uh, before we uh, before we get into the next topic here, I want to say that if you're new to this podcast, if you're new to this channel, uh, I usually try to center each episode on a question that pertains to the project's theme, whether it's a general question, philosophical question, fun question, etc., just to kind of ground the podcast, right? And it's considered to be the meat of the episode. And I normally have an unofficial sponsor, which is an energy drink to plug this episode. But if you look back at the intro, uh, this this podcast is unofficially sponsored by Starbucks and their new double berry matcha flavor. It was pretty good. Um, and so instead of that, I'm gonna plug, 3Kai Clothing Company. Shout out to our own Kainalu Kamai and his mom for starting 3Kai Clothing Company. They were basically a clothing store in Wahiawa, and uh, we use their store to film Mars Luna's Rocket Science music video and Psychopath music videos that you can check out on YouTube. And you know what I'm saying, during the earlier episodes when we were in the teens or in the single digits, Kainalu recorded his end of the podcast uh, from the store. So shout out to them. Uh, hopefully one day y'all can bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Um, but let's get to the actual questions itself. So the question that I have for this episode is history sacred or is it a concept? So the history is sacred mindset is kind of like, you could it's history is something that's being clung on to, right? Like we've always done it this way, or we've no, this is the way we've done it since the 1800s or the 1900s and so forth and so forth. This is the way we've always done it as a family, right? Um, Traditions are considered to be, considered to, fit under this model, right? Or even bureaucratic systems are under this model of history being sacred. Or is history considered to be a concept? Meaning that history is fine. Like I can acknowledge that this exists, but the reality is that we always got to continue to move forward, yada yada yada. We got and finding ways to improve on history to make it more palatable for the 21st century. And for me personally, Oh, and also like the governments, fall under this model as well, right? Like you have your conservatives and you have your progressives and all that kind of stuff that kind of lean under this model. And if I were to apply it a little bit more generally, I would say that history is a concept. Uh, but there is nuance attached to this though, because I can acknowledge that history exists, right? But there are ways to improve on said history. There are ways to make, you know, there are ways to make a better future for the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make a better world for the next generation after me, right? How do you make the world a better place for your kids? How do you make a better place for, you know, for even the present, right? And in the Mars Luna case, I can say that uh the Mars Luna Cosmic Chronicles mattered, right? But how do we build on that to integrate him into the future? Um, which in my case is going to be, Mars Luna is now an ace up my sleeve. Like I can act on a whim if needed to. I can bring Ethan, even though you know, put him in a drawer if I need to. I can, what I'm saying, figure out how to maximize the past and, evolve it into the future. So I think that's kind of where it comes from. And I would say that history is a concept. Now, I also say that history isn't sacred because history is only sacred if it benefits you. History is not sacred if it doesn't benefit you at all, right? Like we can think of hmm, family traditions, right? You can say that traditions have always been what they were, and we're going to follow these things blindly because of tradition. But what if the family structure is not healthy? You know what I'm saying? What if the family structure um has, issues that need to be resolved, right? So we can't continue to say history is sacred when there's no reason to keep going. And this is not necessarily an Einstein quote, but there's a universal quote that says I just blanked out again. Uh Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result. And that's kind of history is sacred falls under that same lens. And you know, the effort to move things into the future can be clumsy. It can be awkward at times, but but integration is key, and building on the past and finding ways to make things better is the wave. It's the wave. It's the move. It's the wave. So that's um kind of where it comes from. And a long-winded way to say that history is a concept. And I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think that history is sacred, or do you think history is a concept? Let me know in the comments, and let me know um, in the show notes on YouTube, not YouTube, show notes on Instagram. Um, oh wow, no. Let me know in the comment section on YouTube. Let me know on Instagram. Let me know on the show notes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that kind of stuff. I only do this once a month, for those who are new. So I don't do this very often. But yeah, just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the ML Backs the for, this episode of the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage. You can follow ML Backstage on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, man. And hope you all enjoy it because this is a transitional year, and we're gonna fill it with transitional content that's gonna lead into the big things we got in store for 2027. And hopefully y'all come along for the ride, man. You know what I'm saying? You can follow the the pod on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and ML Backstage. You can follow me on Instagram, uh, TikTok, and Threads at Luna B Joshua. You can follow all the music related stuff on Mars Luna on Spotify and Apple Music. Uh, and if you want to follow on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, X, YouTube, Mars Luna's the name on there as well. I'm actually tweaking the website right now. It's marsluna.com, and basically if you open up it's marsluna.com, it's basically a discography of everything, of all the eras that Mars Luna has been uh, a part of. But I'm actually tweaking it even more. So uh, be on the lookout for a new and improved music website pretty soon. And yeah, and if you're, yeah, wow, stay tuned for next month's episode because we're going to talk about the artist formerly known as Mars Luna Side B. Because I said that this was Side A, and Side B is coming out next month. And if you check out the schedules on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads, and I think TikTok. I think I posted the schedule on TikTok too, but I don't remember. And yeah, just follow all of that on there. And as Mars Luna likes to say, embrace your odyssey, embrace the strange. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Made it to our destination. I'm super tired right now, but it's all good. I just want to say thank you to everyone who tapped into this bonus episode of the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage. If you like what you heard or saw, you can follow Pod ML Backstage, the podcast formerly known as ML Backstage, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok. What else I got? Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, Threads at Luna B Joshua. You can follow the music page at It's Mars Luna on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook. That page is pretty much a collaboration hub at this point, but you can follow it. The music will be up forever. And stay tuned for the next episode. Side B coming. Appreciate y'all tuning in. See y'all next month. Shoots.